So LinkedIn has an awesome new feature where you can explain a gap in your career, and it's going to be a game changer for anybody who has a gap of employment in their career. In today's video, I'm going to show you what to do, how to go about doing this, and what the benefit is. Let's go. Now I want to start with talking about why. Why is this feature necessary and why should you use it? Well, anybody who has had a gap in employment knows how much of a hurdle that can be in trying to get a new job. Whether that's trying to get an interview or whether that's explaining it to the interviewer when you actually do get this interview. It is clear, having that gap of employment can be a bit of a disadvantage. And any recruiter who looks at your LinkedIn page right now, if you have a gap and it's not explained, is immediately going to think, well, what were they doing during this time? Well, this new feature allows you to actually put context to that and provide them with an explanation. That way you increase the likelihood of a recruiter reaching out to you even though you do have a gap of employment. The main deal here is if you have a gap of employment, you absolutely want to explain, this is what I was doing, I was on parental leave, this is what I did during the time period. This way, you can lower the probability that you'll be excluded from a job opportunity from a recruiter taking a look at your profile page on LinkedIn. Now let's talk about some of the options. One of the things I was impressed with when I actually went through and played around with this feature is all the different options that they give you. They give you step away, they give you were doing caregiving for a family member, full-time parenting, gap year, goal pursuit, education. There is literally a drop down that I'm going to show you here in a minute that shows you all the different things you can actually select from. And there's actually a wide array of options, and I think it's really beneficial for anybody who's stepped away intentionally for a reason that they want to talk about. There's also being laid off. There's a variety of them, and we're going to get into them in just a minute here. One of the things I also really like about this feature is you can select, like, for example, taking parental leave. Right? And then there's actually a box that pops up and you can type in there, I stepped away for this year, when I had the birth of my child, during this time, and you can write whatever you want. If there was things you took in terms of becoming a more well-rounded professional, like if there was courses you took, or if you studied up on things, you can add that in there. You can add whatever context you want, but it's a really nice addition to this feature, so you can actually talk a little bit about it. You don't just have to put a gap, but you can explain, here's what I did during that time. It's a good way for you to explain the why for any recruiters or hiring managers or HR professionals who are going to look at your page. Now let's talk about how to actually do this. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to go to your profile page. Once you're there, you can see right here, there's a place for you to click. So it's right below your picture and right next to the Open To. You will see the Add Profile section, like I have in this picture, and you want to click that. Now when that drops down, you'll see that there's a place where you can add career break section. So I want you to click on that option as featured in this picture right here. That's going to bring you to the next step. Now the next and final step is you pick one of these things as featured here, and then you can actually write up what it is, specifically you were doing during that break, right? So you can select one of them, and then you can write and add any context you want, explaining to the recruiter, this is why I was doing this, and this is what I did during the time. So that is how you use this feature, and I can tell you as a recruiter, it is a huge benefit. I know for a fact that recruiters and hiring managers, they're gonna look at LinkedIn profiles. They're gonna go there, and if they see there is a year, 2-year gap, they're going to wonder, well, what was this person doing here? And this feature is awesome. It gives you a way to quantify and explain exactly what you did with that time. Now, my last note here, and I've said this before, but I wanna add it in real quickly. I think it's a huge benefit to explain what you did during that time that helped you stay sharp as a professional. Fair or unfair, and it's probably a little bit more unfair than fair, there tends to be a bit of a bias to people who are taking time away. Hiring managers are afraid, they do that flippantly, they'll do it again, it's someone who's not dedicated. Most of that is entirely untrue. People step away all the time and they do it for good reasons, and sometimes they're at a very unfair disadvantage when they do so. But adding context in here, like, while I was here, during this time period, I went back to school, or I took online courses, or I worked on my leadership skills by informing myself via blank, blank, blank. Like, that is a huge benefit here. You can absolutely put the gap and leave it at that, but I think as someone who has looked at resumes, tens of thousands of resumes, tens of thousands of LinkedIn profiles, this is certainly an opportunity for you to contextualize the time you're away and show that you are continuing to improve as a professional during this time, even though you had to take a step away for something, in life or for whatever the reason was. Now, if you made it here, do not leave. I want you to watch this video. This video is powerful. If you are tired of applying and applying and applying, but never getting any interviews, this video right here will give you 8 powerful tips, things you can do immediately, some that are no longer than 5 seconds, to immediately increase the probability you will get interviews and quickly. Watch this one now.